Okay, here we go. My goodness, it's been another week. Coach Dave here. I know that because my name's in the sign back there. And of course, we are Accordion Cool. And today, finally, today is the last day of our decades countdown. I'm staying with the 60s. A lot of great tunes were written after that, but not the kind of like the way I play. So I think we just pretty much covered most of the tunes I do or the style I do them in all the way up through the end of the 1960s. So today will be the final episode. Wow, it took a long time to get here. Now, if you're a constant watcher of the show, you probably realize like we tape the show one day and come back the next week and do it again. Now, sometimes there are events that occur during that time, which, obviously we have no control over, but there is an event that happened as we taped this last week, and I did want to mention it. Tony Bennett, the great vocalist, passed away. And now you may not see this show for a few weeks, but that's all right. And I know I played this song a little earlier during our countdown, but I think just as a real short tribute to Tony Bennett, let's go to San Francisco and see what happens. Written, I believe, somewhere around 1954, and Tony Bennett recorded it in 1962, and all of a sudden he was back on top of the world. Now, the word on the street, I had heard the rumor that at that time his career was pretty much on the downslide, and his son took over his management, and of course San Francisco came along, and as they say, the rest is history. So Tony Bennett, the last of the great vocalists from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, has left us. So, quick little tribute to Tony Bennett. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. This next tune, oh, by the way, the first tune I did was More, M-O-R-E, More. And it was from a documentary called Mondo Carne, and I believe it was in French or some foreign language. And of course, song came over here. They wrote English lyrics and words and more than the greatest love, blah, 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 blah. So first song was More, and that was around 1963. Around 1965, a fellow named Nat King Cole. Remember Nat King Cole? Again, one of those great vocalists. He had a song. It's called L-O-V-E, Love. And ironically, several years ago, I was working in a doctor's office, and a part of my life I would just as soon forget. But anyway, and a patient came in, and her name was Maria Cole. So smart aleck. I said, "Oh, any relation to Nat King Cole?" And she says, "Well, yes, he was my husband." I said, "Okay." After I, sheepishly said, "Now what do I do?" And so we had a little conversation. She was from New York, and she told me that she would walk through Macy's and all those other stores at Christmas time and hear Nat King Cole singing things like the Christmas song, which was a huge hit for him. and she'd say, "Oh, that's my husband," So she had great memories, and I have a memory of meeting Nat King Cole's wife. And the song is called Love, Love. So let's see what it sounds like. Love, Love, Nat King Cole, 1965. Well, as I have mentioned in previous shows, it seems the 1960s, a lot of the singing groups took older songs and sort of revitalized them, and this song is one of those. The song is called I Only Have Eyes for You. It was written in 1934. In 1959, of course, I know it's not the 60s, but this overlapped into the 60s. A group called the Flamingos recorded the song, of course, another big hit. So I Only Have Eyes for You, or anybody else that's looking. Here we go. Laprise for You. Pretty ballad, pretty ballad. Well, let's go to 1964. I think this song was actually written, believe it or not, in the 1960s. A fellow named Roy Orbison. He was a big star vocalist and recording artist in the 50s, and he kind of eased over into the 60s. I believe he was blind. Roy Orbison was blind. But I'm not sure if he wrote the song. No, he performed it. And it was for a movie. And it's called, this is for all the young ladies out there, it's called Pretty Woman. So let's see what we can do with this. Woman, Roy Orbison, 1965. 1965. This next tune is also another one of those that had fame, shall we say, back in 1933. And I'm not sure who recorded this, but there were a lot of groups back then, basically just vocal groups who, you know, what we call one-hit wonders. They had one-hit record, and you know they were hot for 2 months, and then you never heard of them again. So I have a feeling that this might have been one of those groups. But this is a classic tune out of the 1930s, and every once in a while you might hear this. It's called Deep Purple. Purple, Deep Purple. Make sure I get, yes, I pushed the wrong, well, never mind. Well, you know, we got a couple of extra minutes here, which I hadn't planned on. I'm going to repeat one of the biggest songs of the 1960s, of course, one of the biggest songs of all time by Rodgers and Hart back, I believe, was around 1934. And a lot of people sang and recorded the song, and Elvis did it. Of course, it was done again back in the 60s. A little tune called Blue Moon. If say, wait, Coach, we just heard this a few weeks. I know. Just bear with me. Here we go. One of the all-time great tune. I mean, not a tremendous song musically, but just a song that everybody liked. They had that what we call in the music biz 1-6-2-5 type progression, and everybody likes that song. Well, we're getting down towards the end of our time and the end of our countdown, and this I think would be a very appropriate tune to do. 1969, fella named, I can never remember this guy's name. He wasn't too well known. Oh, Sinatra, yeah. Frank Sinatra had a huge worldwide hit on this song. And come to find out, Paul Anka, he was buddies with Frank, he was in France and he heard this song and he loved it. Of course, it was in French, but he bought all the copyrights, everything, brought it back to America, put new words and lyrics to it. Now, there's two stories. One says Frank hated it, didn't want to do it. And of course, the other one, yes, okay, I'll do it. Anyway, he did it, and this actually became his theme song for the rest of his career. And I don't generally end a show on a ballad, but I think you'll see where this fits perfectly with our countdown, and actually with what I do here is called My Way. my way, or my way, somebody's way. Well, that just about wraps us up for today. Thank you all for watching, listening, tuning in, however it is that you get our show. And, of course, big thank you to the big guy behind the glass, Austin Ricketts. If anything sounds good, he's the man. He's the man pushing all the buttons. All I do is sit here and push the wrong button. Oh, I never mind. So remember, bring those young'uns in. Let them hear this great music. So let's go home with a little bit of My Way. Here we go.